Greetings and welcome back. I'm glad to have you once again at the Manifested e-learning platform. The subject is corporate governance and ethics. We've been studying the theories of corporate governance. So far, we've studied the agency theory and the stewardship theory. Today, we are focusing on the stakeholder theory. By the end of this lesson, you should therefore be able to explain the stakeholder theory and discuss the benefits and limitations of stakeholder theory. Welcome to the lesson, stakeholder theory. Stakeholder theory of corporate governance is a theory that emphasizes the importance of considering the interests of all stakeholders and not just the shareholders. All the stakeholders. And according to this theory, corporations have an obligation to take into account the needs and interests of all those affected by their actions, including employees, suppliers, customers, the local community, the government, the environment, and so on. So stakeholder theory suggests that corporations should strive to create value for all the stakeholders, rather than just maximizing the shareholders' value. And that may involve making decisions that are not solely based on financial performance, but also take into account social and environmental concerns. And the advocates of stakeholder theory they argue that it provides a more ethical and sustainable approach to corporate governance. And by considering the interests of all stakeholders, companies can create long-term value and build more resilient and successful businesses. In addition, by taking into account the needs of local communities and the needs of the environment, corporations can contribute to the broader social good. But this theory also has criticisms. The critics of the stakeholder theory argue that it is difficult to implement such a theory in practice because it requires corporations to balance competing interests and making trade-offs between different stakeholders. Some argue that prioritizing the interests of stakeholders rather than the shareholders may lead to reduced financial performance and low returns for investors. That is the criticism that has been leveled against the stakeholder theory. So it's important for you to note in explaining the meaning of the stakeholder theory that it emphasizes the importance of considering the interests of not just the shareholders, but all the stakeholders, including employees, customers, the government, the local community, and so on. Now, having explained the stakeholder theory, let us now put down the benefits of this theory. One, holistic perspective. This gives a holistic perspective as far as corporate governance is concerned. The theory emphasizes the importance of considering the interests of all the stakeholders, not just the shareholders in corporate decision making. All the interests of the stakeholders must be taken into account. And that holistic perspective helps organizations to understand the broader impacts of their actions on society and the environment, and also the impact on various stakeholder groups. It gives a holistic perspective. The second benefit is in relation to time. It is a long-term perspective. I can say it's a long-term value creation. Long-term value creation. Long-term value. It gives long-term value creation. Long-term value creation. By prioritizing the needs and the concerns of all the stakeholders, companies can focus on creating sustainable value over a long period of time. And such an approach fosters relationships that are built on trust and mutual benefit, leading to enhanced reputation and resilience. Long-term value creation. Risk management. Risk management, number 3. Risk management. Stakeholder theory encourages organizations to identify and address potential risks that are associated with stakeholder relationships, and that is done proactively. So by engaging with stakeholders and addressing their concerns, companies can mitigate the risk of, say, reputational damage, the risk of regulatory issues, the risk of other challenges. Risk management, because the organization takes into consideration all the concerns of all the stakeholders, then it reduces such risks. Reputational damage is reduced, and so on. Risk management, that is the third benefit. Innovation and adaptation. Innovation and adaptation. The third benefit is in relation to innovation and adaptation. Engaging with stakeholders can drive innovation and adaptation by providing valuable insights into emerging trends. It can also provide insights into customer preferences. It can provide insights into societal needs, and so on. And organizations that embrace stakeholder theory are more likely to develop products, services, and business models that are responsive to changing environment or changing demands. 5, enhanced reputation. And related to enhanced reputation, we have brand loyalty. Brand loyalty. Enhanced reputation and brand loyalty. Now, demonstrating a commitment to stakeholder interests, such as environmental sustainability, such as social responsibility, and ethical business practices, can enhance an organization's reputation and build what we call brand loyalty among customers, employees, investors, and other stakeholders. So stakeholder theory can lead to enhanced reputation and brand loyalty. Now, this theory also has some limitations or challenges, which we are going to outline. Challenges. Despite all these benefits, the theory comes with its own set of challenges. The first one being conflicting stakeholder interests. Conflicting stakeholder interests. Conflicting stakeholder interests. Now, stakeholder theory recognizes that stakeholders may have competing interests and priorities, making it challenging to balance their needs and expectations. And organizations must navigate these conflicts while striving to create value for all the stakeholders. That is a challenge. 2, measurement and accountability. Measurement and accountability is a challenge. Assessing and prioritizing stakeholder interests can be subjective and complex, leading to challenges in measuring and reporting on organizational performance. And companies must struggle to hold themselves accountable for meeting stakeholder expectations effectively. Measurement and accountability. Resource constraints is an obvious challenge. Resource constraints. Remember, the theory suggests that all the interests of the shareholders, all the interests of the stakeholders must be taken into account. That arises, or that brings into practice the challenge of resource constraint. Engaging with stakeholders requires time, requires effort, requires resources, which may be limited for companies, especially smaller ones. So balancing stakeholder engagement with their operational priorities can be challenging, particularly for resource-constrained firms. Resource-constrained firms. 4, short-term pressures. Short-term pressures. Organizations may face pressure to prioritize short-term financial performance over long-term stakeholder interests, particularly in competitive markets or during economic downturns. And such tension can lead to decisions that sacrifice stakeholder well-being for immediate gains. 5, lack of consensus. Lack of consensus. Now, stakeholder theory does not provide a clear framework for determining which stakeholders should be prioritized or how their interests should be balanced. And companies may struggle to achieve a consensus on stakeholder priorities and may face criticism for prioritizing certain groups over others. That is a challenge. There are also implementation challenges. Implementation challenges. Implementation challenges. Now, implementing stakeholder theory requires a cultural shift within the organization first and may encounter resistance from stakeholders that are accustomed to the shareholder-centric approach. So overcoming resistance and embedding stakeholder engagement into organizational practices can be challenging and time-consuming. So that's a challenge to implement this theory, stakeholder theory, in an organization that is used to shareholder-centric approach, to an organization that is used to an environment or a culture where only the shareholders are given priority. That shift cannot be easy. It may be faced with resistance, and overcoming that resistance can be challenging. It can be time-consuming. So these are 5 benefits of stakeholder theory and 6 challenges of stakeholder theory. all in all, we can say that while stakeholder theory offers numerous benefits for organizations that are seeking to create long-term value and build sustainable relationship with all stakeholders, it also presents challenges related to conflicting interests, measurement and accountability, resource constraints, short-term pressures, lack of consensus, implementation challenges, and so on. So by addressing these challenges, an organization that thoughtfully addresses these challenges and strategically, it can leverage stakeholder theory to foster trust, innovation, resilience, and resilience in its operations. Do you understand? So let's stop at that. We will meet in our next session. But before then, here is your today's assignment. Question 1, explain the meaning of stakeholder theory. Number 2, outline the benefits and limitations of stakeholder theory. Do the assignment, then let's meet in our next session. Bye.